Hey guys, Jason from the Film Guild. Welcome you back to part 2 of our first episode where we talk about the crazy, amazing film Zombeavers. As I mentioned in the last part, we went over our intended time by about an hour during our first episode. So instead of like editing the crap out of it, we just cut it into 2 parts and decided to release them together. So I just want to welcome you back and enjoy the rest of the conversation. We'll see you for next episode. Take care.
Oh no, you missed the best part.
I'm sorry. What was the best part?
It's the Jaws reference. Everyone out of the water, and it does the zoom. The fucking Jaws 2 zoom on her face as she yells that.
Oh my god, does it really?
Yes, it does.
I
How did
totally
you miss
missed
that?
I missed
I
that.
even had to go back and rewatch the clip from Jaws today to make sure that I had that as a reference.
The bit
that
where
was
it's
totally
like
reference.
the bit where it shows Roy Scheider
Yeah.
when he's on the beach and it like does the
yeah,
dolly
and
zoom.
it does the exactly.
Oh
and
my
then
God, I
immediately
missed
after he's
that.
like, "Everyone out of the water." I mean, he doesn't say it during the zoom, but that's what they're trying to parody there clearly.
Oh my god, I missed that completely.
Jesus Christ, kid.
Wow. So him and his foot, everybody like swims up to the raft, they pull him up. Oh my
'Cause,
god,
I mean,
you're
it's
right. I
clearly
just
just on
watched
my
it.
notes.
I just
Mhm.
watched it. It's there. Wow. Very well played, sirs.
All right. So you might not have caught this, but did they pack multiple bikinis? Because clearly they did. Because first of all, all right, what's her name? Mary, in the first scene, is wearing a red bikini top.
Sure.
This one, black, full black.
They must have.
Yeah. Zoe is wearing completely different bikini bottoms, but in this one, she's wearing the same style as Mary to the point where I actually like did a double take to make sure that they weren't the same character. I don't know. Okay, so I can accept Zoe, right? Maybe she packs the one for when she's with her friends, but she knows the boys are coming up, so she's gonna pack the super like skimpy one, I guess, or whatever.
Right.
Which wasn't all that skimpy, whatever. Anyways, why the fuck does Mary pack one?
I don't know. I never
It
even
doesn't
noticed
make
it.
sense. I've never known a woman to pack 2 bikinis.
Fred checking out the bikini wear.
It was a thing that bugged me at first because I'm like, hold on, that looks like it can't be right. And I actually had to back it up to double check. I double checked it today. I'm like, okay, so let's roll back a little bit. Yeah, no, Corny Pom's got a red one. Now she's got a black one.
Wow. I don't know.
Which is why I legitimately thought, maybe she did somehow lose it in the lake. It's the only reasonable excuse.
I'm at a loss, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, fucking Ruben, explain it, please. Right in.
So they bring Footless Boy up, and the Mary's boyfriend, who all of a sudden is kind of almost becoming a hero, is like, we got to tie this off. She's like, and Zoe, bless her heart, is like, here, take my bikini top.
Oh, we could only wish.
But he's like, no, it's too small. I'm like, really, too small? Like,
I must miss that bit. I thought you were making that up.
no, it's there. And so
Jesus.
he uses something else. Oh, he takes the vest off the dog.
Yeah, he takes
wraps
like
it
a little
around
life
there.
vest.
And so in the meantime, Jen runs inside, goes to call the police, call an ambulance or whatever. You discover that the beavers have chewed through the phone lines.
Which is the thing. They know our technology!
Yes.
We don't have an advantage anymore.
which-
We are a step away from the beavers creating chainsaws to chase us.
So at this point, I wrote down on my notes, the beavers are coming from inside the house. They're inside the house. So a
Which
beaver,
we come
like,
to find out that they are.
yeah, so a beaver attacks Jen, and scratches her leg.
And we get a very convenient fall of the knives.
Yes. So she battles the beaver. She's up on the. At this point, things just get crazy. So Jen's fighting the beaver up on the on the counter, basically.
Yeah.
And the 4 friends are on the raft trying to fight off beavers who are coming up through the raft and jumping up on the sides. Things are just crazy. Things are looking dire for our people.
Yeah.
And the beavers like swimming around looking like crocodiles. And they can't figure out how to get back to the shore. So it's not Zoe's boyfriend. Who is it is it Zoe's boyfriend?
I think it's Sam, like the dickbag one.
No, it's Sam. It's Jen's boyfriend.
Right.
Says,
yeah.
screw this, we need a diversion. He picks up the dog.
Picks up Gosling.
Picks up Gosling and like throws him to the side into the water.
Which
And-
apparently in that Jaws 2 scene, the dog dies.
I don't
So I'm not
remember
sure if that was another reference to
Yeah,
it, but I read that in
probably.
the YouTube comments. I haven't watched Jaws 2, clearly.
It's been a long time for me. So the dog swims off, and you're like, oh my god, there's like, I'm gonna say this now because this is gonna come up in a lot of different episodes. To me, there's always been like classically like two rules you never break in Hollywood, and one is you don't kill kids and you don't kill dogs, right?
Right.
So you're kind of going, this dog's not gonna die. Like they're not gonna kill the dog out.
That thing is, it actually looks like the dog is going to outrace the beavers.
The dog gets right up towards the shore, and like three beavers like jump on top of it and drag it underwater and kill it. Fucking asshole. But this does allow our friends to swim into the shore, and actually get into the house, while Jen is like fighting the beaver, which by the way is the same beaver from the night before.
Right. Yeah. This is what had kind of thrown me off, because as it's climbing up onto the counter, it splits in half.
Right.
So I'd been trying to figure out how the fuck does it split in half? Like, It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Now that you've explained that it was being in half by a bat, which still seems weird, but I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Makes a little bit more sense.
Whilst her legs are spread and the beaver is coming up,
which I felt like that could have been in like the movie, like the trailer shot, or like a shot for the poster.
It actually is like the number one behind the scenes shot that you see almost all over the place.
Yeah.
Is her sitting there like that while the director's talking to her and they're setting up the beaver. But anyway, so she stabs through its neck and like pins it in place. And the other friends like get inside, and all the beavers stop on the porch and like growl at them as they shut the door.
Yeah.
Not sure why.
Because apparently beavers can't break doors.
Right. So while they're sitting there, Zoe gets really pissed off at Sam, the boyfriend, for tossing the dog, and she calls him an asshole, and I believe he's an asshole and he should die. Okay, so it gets dark. So there's been a passage of time, and all the beavers are just like sitting outside the house, like looking at the house.
They've just kind of been staring at him,
like Night of the Living Dead or something.
Yeah,
it's bizarre. They go in, and they're looking at the beaver in the kitchen, and it's like moving or something. Mary says, "Is it on steroids or something?"
I missed that.
And Zoe looks at Mary and says, "Mary, does it look like a baseball player?" Again, it has legitimately funny moments that just cracked me up. Sam, Zoe's boyfriend, is sleeping on the couch with his foot in a plastic bag in ice. And I don't know why, but that made me laugh really hard. Correct
me wrong, but isn't he like cuddling up next to it?
He is. He's like got it cuddled up like it's... Yeah, I mean, I would too if it was
like it would be Zoe, yeah.
So because Mary is super pissed off, she's very upset. Or not Mary, Zoe's very upset. She spills the beans. Sam and Mary were the ones making out the picture.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
She spills the beans.
She's move, I'll admit.
Yeah, she's kind of like, you know what? Fuck you. Your boyfriend killed my dog. Well, guess what? He made out with your friend.
Oh, that's the catalyst, because I had written down, like, trying to figure out why the fuck that happens.
Yeah, she basically says, you know, you killed my dog. And he's like, it's just a dog. And she's like, I hate you. And he's like, if it's between us and a dog, I'm going to pick the dog, or pick us every time.
Here's the thing, though, is by this point, I could have completely ignored the whole cheating plot. Like, I could have...
Yeah.
It could have clearly, like, fallen off to the side. But this becomes an apparent big point, like, the whole exposure of it.
Yeah, so that's the big thing is, you know, she says, guess what? It's her. And she, like, walks off. But here's the thing, is it becomes a big deal for about 10 seconds. Because Mary says, you know, I was going to tell you, I'm so sorry. It was I was drunk, whatever. And she basically says, we have bigger things to worry about now. The end. That's the end of that subplot.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because it's never brought up again.
It is brought up once more, but it's kind of like after the reveal, she's like, well, we got other things to worry about. It's like, okay.
I wonder if that was, well, no, there probably wasn't any audience testing for this.
Probably not. You know, and Tommy, because Zoe says, like, she should know, like everybody else does. And poor Tommy is is Mary's boyfriend. He goes, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he like walks off, and all of a sudden this guy who's kind of being a little bit of a hero, you're kind of like, oh my god, I feel bad for him.
Well, here's the thing, is that was only like the third time that we've seen him.
Yeah.
Like on camera.
All right.
I was not connected to him at all. I didn't feel for him really. I was like, man, that kind of sucks, but I don't even know who you are. I don't know your motivations, you know. You're kind of nothing to me.
Right. So at this point, the beavers start thumping their tails, making very large rumbling booms. You know, big slaps, big bangs. They start thumping their tail.
Like war drums.
Yeah, like one of them says, like, what's going on?
Oh my god, I want Mad Max Fury Road starring only beavers.
Oh my god.
The Doof Beaver would be amazing.
Holy crap. So one of them says, is this an intimidation tactic? And one of them is like, well, it's working. And I would like to tell you that I did look on Yahoo Answers to see if thumping beavers' tails are an intimidation tactic, and it's not. They slap their tails as a warning of danger to their families and other beavers that are around them.
Well, I was just thinking that these beavers, they're clearly smart. They've discovered our technology. So I'm not entirely certain, but maybe all these beavers have read The Art of War. Have we thought about that?
We haven't, but somebody else has, because asshole boyfriend, who we're calling Sam now, gets pissed off, cuts the kitchen beaver's head off, and
well, it doesn't seem like he cuts it off. It seems like he just yanks it off.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's very like stringy and gross. But he rips it off, goes out onto the porch, and yells at them and says, "Is this what you're looking for?" And throws the head out to the beavers. I feel like
it's supposed to be a reference to something.
I don't know. I'll have to look up and see. But he like tosses it and like walks off, and it's like, oh, you just pissed them off so bad.
Yeah.
They decide that they can't sit there all night, that they need to go get some help.
Boyfriend is missing the foot.
Yeah.
Zoe and Sam. Is that his name?
No, Tommy.
Okay. we'll just call it Mary's boyfriend, because that's all we'll know him as.
Yep, we're gonna call him Hero
Zoe's boyfriend and Courtney Palm.
Because at this point, Hero boyfriend, Tommy becomes Hero boyfriend. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take our buddy who has got his foot cut off. I'm going to take him in the Prius to the hospital. And Zoe says, I'm going to go. I have to go with him. Like, I need to go. So the three of them get in the Prius. And they get in the Prius. And I'm laughing because my brother David owns a Prius. And I can totally relate to this. They get in, they start going. And she says, let's go. To which he replies, like, it's a fucking hybrid. You have to finesse it.
Here's things. I almost feel like that was a little unnecessary at first, but now you've explained the whole Prius thing.
Yeah,
I get it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It made me laugh because I ride in his car, and it definitely is one of those things. And the other thing that I laughed off, so they drive off, and the other thing I laugh off is that Sam says we need to board up all these windows, and I just started laughing because I'm like, are you like really gonna board up the windows and doors because the beavers are gonna get in?
Yeah, that's
so
very weird.
So they decide that they're going to play Night of the Living Dead. They got to board up the windows and stuff. And so we cut to the neighbors. The what's their names?
The Gregersons.
The McGregersons. And she's peeking out the window and she says, there's some hooping and hollering going on all over there. Should I go check on it? And he's like, what do you say? I have the quote written down. She says, do you hear something? And he says, oh, it's just those kids scissoring each other to Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Which made me immediately think this married couple is the best.
I would love to have them as neighbors.
They have no problem getting together, joking about kids getting together in the other house, cracking jokes about Lady Gaga and about how much their daughter's a whore. Like, I'm all for these two. They are fantastic.
Exactly. So they joke back and forth, and she says, well, maybe you should see what's going on. And he's like, well, maybe I'll go over there and just, stay for their party. And she's like, you're a sicko. And they're laughing. She goes upstairs. The dog that he was just petting, he reaches down to pet it again, and it's a Zombeaver.
So that brings up another question of mine. All right.
Yeah.
So apparently the beaver managed to kill the dog and infiltrate the house without a sound.
Right.
Without a sound, it killed the dog.
Hey.
And infiltrated the house.
Stealth beaver.
Yeah. These beavers. Can we send them over to kill ISIS? Like, can we do that? Can we train these beavers?
For some reason, I'm picturing this beaver as like Sam Fisher, and the little
I was picturing James Bond.
So
00 Beaver.
So the Zombeavers are inside the house. The Prius comes upon a felled tree that's apparently blocking the entire road. They can't get around it. But they are next to a truck who happens to be, it looks like Smith's truck.
Yeah.
So Hero boyfriend goes up and finds an axe and some guns. And as he's walking back to he goes and tells Zoe, like, you've got to get Pegleg back.
The first thing is,
Pegleg boyfriend.
Says, you have to get everybody back to the cabin, even though there's one dude to get back to the cabin.
Right.
Everybody's kind of a poor grouping.
They're under stress.
I'll allow it.
They're under stress. So he says, yeah, you got to get him back. I'll go find help. Like, totally Hero boyfriend now. Love him until the tree falls on him.
Yeah, the beaver's not through a tree.
Yeah.
And a very, very, like, here's the thing. So there was that Loggers TV show on I think, Nat Geo or whatever forever ago.
Right.
I don't know if it's still there. But I think they can maybe learn a thing or two from these beavers. Like, these beavers are the masters of, like, they can lead him, they're like snipers with the tree. They're green bereavers.
They're green beavers. In the middle of this, Smith shows up. Oh, this was another really funny part is one of the beavers shows up and starts terrorizing Zoe, and it jumps at her, and in midair gets shot, like right in front of her face. That's how high this beaver jumps. Jumps up, gets shot. There's Smith.
Yeah, Deus Ex Hunter.
Right. So Smith helps her get Peg Leg Boyfriend into the truck, and they drive off back towards the house. Another funny bit is so it cuts while they're doing that, it cuts back to the house, and they're boarding up the doors and everything, and they're carrying what are they carrying, like a mattress or a table or something? And like Mary says towards me, or she's like towards me, to which Mary says, no duh. Who talks like that anymore? Does anybody ever say no duh?
You know, now I think about it, I haven't used that since
I haven't heard like no duh since the 90s, but it made me laugh. So as they're doing this, the beavers start breaking through the windows.
Which I'd like to point out that they waited very patiently for all the fortifications to be in place.
They gave them a head start. They let them get their defensive stuff. It's like a tower defense game, right? It's like the enemy wave is waiting until you get your stuff set up.
Yeah, until you push the start button. They don't start coming.
Right. To which Mary says something that we've been thinking this whole time. You know, the whole point of a beaver is that it fucking chomps wood. I've been thinking about this for like the last 15 minutes. I'm like, why are you guys boarding this stuff up? They're going to chew through it.
See, it's kind of funny that you say that, though, because I would think that the whole reason, or the whole point of a beaver, is to be a beaver. But that's just me. It's not like they're a chainsaw, right? So, they're a beaver.
While Asshole Boyfriend is moving stuff, he like does this great callback to, I think it's Die Hard. He's like, come out to the lake, have a few laughs.
Yeah.
I remember that?
You know, now that you bring it up as a reference, I totally get that. I just completely missed it at first.
It's like the perfect, I think it's John McClane that says that. It's like, that's great. So Smith and Zoe and the boyfriend are coming back, and Smith tells this interesting story about a previous beaver outbreak.
Yeah. The Gerardia virus.
The Gerardia parasite, right. And talks about how bad it was, and they're like, you know, what's this have to do with what's happening now? Because he's like, well, that's not what's happening now. And they're like, well, what's this have to do with that? And he looks at her and says, any of you have diarrhea? And they're like, no. And it's like, I wrote it down because it's the third poop joke, because a little bit earlier when they had the attack in the bathroom and they're looking for the beaver, you know, she gets attacked. They go in and Zoe's boyfriend stands there. He goes, hey, did you shit in here?
Yeah.
To Mary, and it's like, what the?
God,
what the hell?
Weird. It just furthers my point that he's got to be like 12 years old.
The beavers mysteriously, like, they leave.
Like, sorry, going back to the truck.
Sure.
Another reference you might have missed. Did you catch the Night Living Dead reference?
No.
No? There's a radio broadcast that's going on in the truck, and it's supposed to be an advertisement, but the opening of it, I didn't like check the actual transcript, but pretty sure that was like word for word from the Night Living Dead radio broadcast.
I wish I would have wrote that down, because it sounds like, you know, if you're staying in your homes, if you're in your homes,
it's like board up your doors, you know,
and come to like Lakeside Toyota, and then he turns it off. It's like, oh my god. So in the house, Asshole Boyfriend is beating beavers off with a stick, basically, and the girls are like stabbing at them like 1,000 times with little knives, which I thought was really silly, but you know, what are you gonna do? So the Zombeavers mysteriously leave when the truck comes up, and Mary says, like, where's Tommy? You know, do you think he's okay? And they can't get in the house because everything's all boarded up. And it's another funny bit when Mary calls out to them and says, the doors are all boarded up. And Zoe says, why? And Mary says, you know why the fucking why.
Just saw them moving a TV in front of the main doorway 2 seconds ago. Right. And now for some reason it's also boarded.
Right. So they decide they're going to go to the neighbor's house, the only other house. And as they're going back, Smith turns and knocks a couple of beavers off, you know, shoots them, and he yells, filthy hairy beavers, as he's going up to the house.
He did, yeah. Which, again, this film's surprisingly few beaver jokes.
There really was not as many beaver jokes as I thought that there was going to be.
I think they make a remark about it at some point early on. That like culminates into why did the beaver cross the road, and then it cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get into the house, the neighbor's house, and they find that Mr. McGregorson's dead.
Yeah.
And the phone lines are cut there too.
Of course.
And so she's like, are they smart enough to be able to do this? And Smith says, well, they chew on twigs and wires and shit. I guess this is the same.
Okay, so here's another one of the problems with that. Is they just walked into the Gregorsons. Like, it was nothing. I think that they gave a light knock, but as soon as they finished knocking, they just walked right in. They didn't wait to be invited. It's like, man, if I was the Gregorsons, that would be grounds to shoot them.
I think if zombie beavers were chasing me, I don't think I would knock on somebody's door. I think I would just bust in and like deal with the after effects afterwards.
I guess so. It seemed very.
I got a dude here with his foot off. Like, obviously we're in trouble.
Hey guys, we got a problem out here. I don't know if you noticed all the racket. Yeah, that's not us. Kind of getting attacked here.
So Smith goes upstairs, like goes to check stuff out, and it kind of goes back to the other house, and they're kind of just sitting around because it's quiet. The beavers have disappeared for some reason, and Mary is reading through a book and is reading about beavers.
Yeah, it's a very conveniently placed book.
Right. So she's reading a book, and Sam makes fun of her about it, and they kind of like spit back and forth about it, and so it finally comes down to the talk. Why did you make out with my boyfriend? And she says, it just happened. Like, I don't know. And she's like, well, why him? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know why. To which he turns around and says, look, once the three of us are far away from this cabin, we can sit down like adults. We can try to figure out why you both find me attractive. And
see, I don't think they actually find you attractive at all. I think, this is hinted at later, that they kind of got a thing for each other. And you're just kind of like the middleman.
Well, yeah, so yeah, we'll get back to that in a second. We kind of skipped that part, but we'll harken back to it.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Right. Mary says it means nothing. It meant nothing, but her face kind of says otherwise. Like maybe she didn't regret it after all. And to which Sam replies, "Listen, we cannot turn against each other right now. That is exactly what the beavers would want."
I think I missed that, but holy shit!
I just started laughing.
More beaver facts for you.
Yeah.
Apparently, beavers are nocturnal, though in this film they seem just as active at night as in the day.
Exactly, and they actively like plot.
It feels like they should have come in right at some point. Like, oh, okay, it's nighttime. Now the beavers strike.
They strategize.
Now we see all of them.
Yeah, they strategize like the U.S. Army when they like surround somebody and then play a bunch of rock music to freak them out.
Yeah,
they're just like playing mind games with them now. So the other funny part is then right after that is Smith goes into the bedroom and finds Mrs. McGregorson like dead on the bed. She's laying on the bed. Yeah. She's all chewed up, and he just looks at her and he goes, okay, and he like shuts the door. During the gag reel, there's a bit where he comes in and he looks at her and he goes, well, that's fucked up, and he like shuts the door.
Here's the thing, so did they not actually say that during the scene?
No, he looks in and he goes,
because I totally just quoted that.
He looks in at the body and he goes, okay, and he like shuts the door and leaves. So he comes down. I feel like
they should have kept the, well, that's fucked up. I felt like that was a better line.
I agree. So Zoe is like packing more ice in, and to which Smith says, look, if you put ice directly on it, it's going to kill the tissue. And he basically says, although if it's been chopped off all day, it's probably a waste anyway. You can just toss it.
Yeah, he said about 6 hours. Now I'm not a master of like losing limbs and stuff, but I think that's even then, and that's a bit long.
Yeah, and then tries to get her to. He offers her cold chicken. Like he goes through Mrs. McGregorson's
this whole time.
He offers goes to Mrs. McGregorson's fridge and finds cold chicken. So he's porking out on chicken.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't even wait to find out that they're dead. I think he actually started raiding it before he even found any of them.
He's hungry. He's been hungry.
He's like, hey, look, fridge, cool.
So then it cuts back to Mary, because Mary's like, I gotta go lay down. So she's laying down in the dark.
Yeah.
And potentially one of the greatest scenes that ends up not being the greatest scene, but almost becomes the greatest scene, is Zoe walks in the room. Now, earlier during the Would You Rather game, Jen walks in the room. Zoe makes a comment about how Mary and Jen made out during a party game once.
Yeah.
So Jen walks in and like very sexily, is that a word? Very sexy, like walks up to the bed and like gets on all fours and like crawls over on top of Mary.
Yeah.
What were you thinking at this point?
Here's the thing: is I was legitimately thinking possible lesbian scene. I wouldn't put it past them right now.
Right.
You don't expect what's coming.
No, I was really ready for it. And the thing is by this point, so much stuff has happened that you forget about the scratch on Jen's leg.
Yeah.
So when Jen goes and like Mary wakes up and she's like, "Look, I love you, but I really don't like. It's not really my thing." To which Jen then starts drooling gross, thick crap on her face, and like her teeth pop out, and a big beaver tooth thing comes down in the front of her face. Can you explain it better than that?
She becomes a beaver.
She is a Zombeaver hybrid.
Well, I think this is when she literally is a Zombeaver.
She becomes pretty much a beaver, yeah.
Like, I don't know what the hierarchy is, but I think that maybe she falls below the actual Zombeavers in the Zombeavers colony, but it's still a Zombeaver, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a struggle, and Mary gets out, locks her in there, and it's like, holy crap!
Like, here's the thing: that's 59 minutes in, and that's when shit kicks off. We're 59 minutes into the movie, and shit suddenly started to go crazy.
Yep, exactly. So, so you realize that this is a disease. This is a virus or something that's turning them, into Zombeavers. And who else got bit?
We're 59 minutes in.
Right.
We don't expect this shit. This comes out of left field. It's like, holy fuck. Where did this come from?
It was brilliant. It was actually brilliant.
It was so well executed.
Humans are going to morph into Zombeavers. They're infected. So what's that mean? Who else got bit?
Well, boyfriend got bit.
So what happens to boyfriend?
Boyfriend develops super speed and becomes a Zombeaver. That's the only thing I can determine.
Smith is going to cauterize his stump.
Yeah.
Using a method he saw on TV.
Okay, sorry. I just haven't glanced at my notes, and I gotta go back to the lesbian scene.
Sure.
Because that happens before the actual transformation, right?
Sure.
And I've been trying to infer some stuff about this whole disease, but as far as I can tell, they kind of keep consciousness until, like, just before they turn. Which means that she was already going there probably for the lesbian scene before she turned into a zombie.
Right. We were robbed.
Yeah.
They robbed us of a...
Curse you, beavers! Holy shit, I just blew out my levels like you would not believe.
I believe it. I'm going to have to, like, tune that down in the levels. So, while distracted, I call him now... so, the boyfriend's name was Buck. I think, right? It? I think, because in my notes, I called him Zombuck. So, Zombuck jumps on Smith from behind and eats his face off. Like, eats half of his face off, literally. So, as he's eating his face off, he picks Smith up. Like, he's going to toss him, like, WWE style.
Yeah, like, holds him above his head.
Right. Like, almost like something out of Evil Dead, almost.
Yeah.
Zoe takes the gun and shoots at him and misses him. Cocks the gun again and shoots through Smith's eye.
Okay, so here's the thing, though, right? So you brought up that, he picks him up like he's a WWE guy and starts eating him. I brought it up like he eats his face like Mary Jane kisses Spider-Man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's kind of all I could think during that scene is I'm like, man, did Sam Raimi direct this or?
So Zoe runs upstairs. Zoe runs upstairs. Buck's chasing her. So shit is on now. Like, shit's kicked on at both houses.
Yeah.
Into, like, big time. Shit's getting dire. So we cut back to the house, and Sam and Mary, like, board up the door, the bedroom door where Jen's at. And there's this thumping sound, and they're like, what the hell is she doing? And it cuts to her, and she now has a giant beaver tail.
Yeah. And
she's, like, twerking.
Yeah.
To, like, thump the beaver tail. I guess to warn the other beavers that she's transformed into a beaver and it's time to attack. I don't know, but it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It might have just
been more war games.
Is that what it is? Like, they were just, like, she was messing with him?
Maybe. Or, and I can't remember if this happens here, so I'm going to let you continue.
Sure.
Before I reveal this, so go ahead.
So she's thumping on the floor, and they kind of like sit down at that point with their back against the wall, and Mary looks at him and says, it's a virus. Do you think that we can help her? I mean, do you think it's permanent? And Sam looks at her in, like, desperation and says, I don't know. She's going to be on medication for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could play the sound clips because it's so much better. Yeah, so he gives the one-liner, and Zombeavers start coming through the floor. And so they retreat to the bathroom, the infamous bathroom.
I wasn't sure if that came up then.
Go for it.
So I was wondering maybe that's why she was banging her tail, was to let them know, because first of all, I was waiting so long for this payoff when they brought up that beavers have a tendency to dig tunnels.
Yes.
I was really waiting for a scene for them to come up from under the ground.
Right. So when they're Mary's reading the book, she's reading off, like, beavers are monogamous. To which, Jen says, well, that's how we don't different. That's how we're different. And she says something like they're notorious for digging tunnels.
Yeah.
And everybody like looks at their feet, and that's when like Mary's like, I gotta go lay down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never even like. I guess at that point, I expected them to come up at that point, but I kind of forgot about it.
Well, then the thing is, like, my second viewing, I was looking for it. I was like, okay, so there's got to be some point where they come up from the ground, because otherwise I'm gonna be so pissed, because that was a setup with no payoff, and it pays off. It really does.
Yep. So they're inside the house now. They get in. In the meantime, to get away from Peg Leg boyfriend, Zoe gets in and locks herself in the bedroom. But who's in the bedroom? Mrs. McGregorson.
Yeah.
Is it McGregorson?
Yeah, Gregerson.
Yeah. So she starts rising because she got bit, right? So she's gonna turn. So Zoe like pulls this freaking thing out of her ass that's like something out of several Friday the 13th movies. She like is out of ammo, throws the gun down, runs head first as fast as she can, dives through, like busts through the upstairs window.
See, for me, for some reason, I was drawn back to like I think Rob Zombie's Halloween or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have sworn that there was a window breaking scene there.
Yeah, and she just swan dives out the window.
Which,
lands
by
on
the
her
way,
face.
Bad idea, folks. Don't jump out a window.
Don't do this at home, folks. It's a movie.
Throw a rock first.
Yeah, so she
throw the gun
window.
first. She had the gun in
God,
her
you're
hands. Right. And instead, she dropped it. That was a wasted opportunity. She could have gone full ninja on that window.
She probably could have busted Mrs. Gregerson's head in with the butt of the rifle, too.
That's also true.
But she chooses to go the easy route. She jumps out head first and lands on her face, basically. So here's the thing. So we cut back to the bathroom where Mary and Sam is. Mary and Sam are. And Mary is concerned that Sam may be infected. So she makes Sam strip down naked.
Which, by the way, I thought that they started that in the last scene.
They actually did, and we skipped by it. Like she says,
like
you
start
bit.
having them get naked again.
Yeah, she's like, it's a virus. So did you get scratched? Take your shirt off. And he's like, what are you talking about?
But then that's when they bathroom and they start doing it again.
Right. So they get to the bathroom. And she says, take your shirt off. And he's like, what the hell? And she's like, just do it. So he does it, and he's like, look, I'm not scratched. She's like, take your pants off. And he's like, does it, and he's like, see something you like, and she's like, so he's like, your turn. So she gets naked. And
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, sure. She's in her bra and panties, and I would be
which is the best we're ever gonna get with her,
right?
Which I'm alright with, because personally, not attracted to her.
So he like spots like a bruise like on her ribs, I think, and he's like, "What's this?" And she like starts kissing him. Yeah. So they end up fully like getting mounted on the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Which like reminds me of the scene from Cabin Fever when the Ryder Strong and the other chick's like in the cabin by themselves, and she's like goes into the speech about you're in a plane that's crashing, you just want to grab the person next to you and just fuck them or whatever, and they get it on.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's kind of like out of nowhere they just start like going at it on the sink, which whatever. Kind of like, well, I guess I'm going down. I'm probably going to go down swinging too, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down, going down.
Absolutely. So while they're doing this, one of the Zombeavers chews through a power cord in the living room and catches fire and runs around like setting all the drapes on fire.
Yeah.
He just like becomes like his own Molotov cocktail and just like it's like he looks at the most flammable parts of the cabin and like runs to it.
But I think these Zombeavers might be like a kind of like the Borg, where it's more about the collective, because this Zombeaver just full on sacrificed himself. He's like, all right, well, we gotta get them out of here somehow. Let's do this. Let's go.
So that makes Sam and Jen stop having sex.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell? And so he turns and like looking around. Jen breaks through the wall, like bangs her head through the wall, jumps in and bites his dick off.
Yeah. No,
like,
wait.
Did she
come through the wall or come through the floor? I could have sworn she came through the floor.
Did she come through the floor? I thought she came through the wall, but you may be right.
So, okay, I'm going to assume that the Zombeavers actually spent all afternoon digging the tunnels underneath the house, right?
Right.
Mostly because you only ever see like a couple of them when they looked out the window the first time. But later on in the night, they look out and there's a bunch of beavers. Like 10 beavers out there. There's a lot of beavers, right? Especially for Zombeavers.
It does.
I think that they eat their young.
It does look like she actually came through the floor.
So that's the thing, though. So she was just recently turned, which means that Zombeavers tunnel slower. A group of Zombeavers tunnel slower than one Zombiever human.
So, well, basically, when they kept disappearing, this must have been what they were doing. They were digging the tunnels.
That's what I'm saying. Is like maybe there was a couple of them as like a psych out tactic to make them think, oh man, we can't leave the cabin. There's like 4 Zombeavers, but really the colony's underneath.
Right.
Digging.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Which is why I figured, that could have also been why they were giving the tail banging scene early on.
Right.
It wasn't to psych them out now. Now that I think about it, it was to let everybody know that, hey, by the way, attack. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, I absolutely think that. You're absolutely right. It's an excellent communication device.
Because I mean, they would probably be able to hear it from the tunnels, like underground. Like you would hear thump,
sure.
thump, thump.
It's very loud. Like you can hear it through the whole house. So yeah. I believe that. So Mary gets out in the living room and finds the whole place on fire. She's gonna die, right?
Yeah.
It's over with. And all of a sudden, a truck, Smith's truck, crashes through the wall, and it ends up being Zoe. Zoe's
Another
there to
bad
save the
idea,
day.
by the way. That can kill you.
Yes. But can I just kind of say, though, that I have to give credit to the writers in the sense that I really disliked Zoe at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I just thought she was a bitch.
Yeah.
And about halfway through, her character really, like, when shit gets serious, her character really, like, comes around. After about the point that that they leave the first time with the Peg Leg boyfriend.
Yeah.
From that point forward, like, you really, like, start rooting for her.
Well, that's
she really becomes a different character.
Thinking the blonde was the main character.
Right.
But suddenly, it's like this character all of a sudden just flips and becomes our focus.
Right. And, hats off, because according to the archetype, the blonde, the pretty broken girl, should be the one that survives.
Yeah.
She's the one that gets out. And the slut girl should be the first one who died. And it's not. It's her who up to this point has made it.
Yeah.
So hats off to them for, like, breaking that convention.
Yeah.
So she gets in the truck. They drive off. They leave the cabin is now fully engulfed. They leave it. They drive off. I said Zombeaver Smith. Because Smith's turned into a zombie, which the one thing that bothers me sometimes about these type of zombie things is how quickly people turn later on in the movie.
Well, that's the thing. As I've got this written down, right? Because I was trying to puzzle out because I'm like, this doesn't make sense, right? So I've written down what's her face and Zoe's boyfriend, which I've got something else written there, and I can't distinguish what the hell that means in my handwriting. They're a bit about the same time, right? And they both turn about the same time.
Sure.
Smith seems to die or seems to turn like on death, right? Like
right.
Minutes.
Just about. Right.
Missy Gregerson, she dies, but she doesn't seem to turn until like at least an hour later. It's like this virus has no basis. Because if you could say it was on death, then by all means, Miss Gregerson should have died should have turned on death, right? She should have been a Zombiever by the time that Smith walks in.
Right.
But she's not. Meanwhile, Smith turns immediately.
Yeah, he turns right off the bat. So he takes a shot at him and blows out the front windshield. But, they're fine. They drive past him. Except, are they really fine? Because Zoe then slams into a tree. Like, head on.
Right.
The truck.
Yeah.
Like, slams into a tree. And it's like, why? Like, why? I guess she was ducking and wasn't paying attention or whatever.
Yeah, that's I think
but she slams into a tree.
She was ducking and she turns and she slams in, yeah.
Right. And so while they're trying to get the truck started, all of the Zombeavers and all of the hybrid people like start coming up.
Yeah. And
it comes up like it spawns two of the funniest lines in the movie, I think. One is when the infected bear, like the bear has turned into a zombear.
Yeah, zombear. Now, here's the thing that pisses me off. Is I watch this movie with subtitles. I watch everything with subtitles, right?
Right.
He is listed in the subtitles as Zombiever Bear.
Yeah, no, it's
you
definitely
missed such an
Zombear.
opportunity. It's a Zombear.
Right. And the bear stands up on his hind legs, and so he says, I mean, really?
Oh my god. Unless, bear with me here.
What?
I didn't catch this, but does the bear have beaver traits?
I will have to go back and look and see.
Because maybe we can get a fight going on between the Zombeavers and the Zombears, and the Zombears have their hybrids, which look like bears, and the Zombeavers have their hybrids, which look like beavers, and they can square off like in Twilight.
Right.
This could be fantastic. Ruben, are you taking notes here? Because we're writing the movie for you.
I smell fan fiction coming.
Yeah.
So
you can check it out on my...
Get on that Tumblr.
check my post on adultfanfiction.net.
I just checked, and it actually does have like beaver teeth, giant beaver teeth on the front.
I'll accept Zombeaver Bear then.
So anyway, so she says, I mean, really? Which, I mean, I almost wet myself. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
That's basically what everybody's thinking. So all of the bad people like start shaking the truck, right? Like all the Zombeaver hybrids are showing up. To which Mary screams, "Is this truck fucking covered in honey?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they manage to get away, and as they're driving off, Jen, Jen, like swings down from the roof. Like
right.
she's on the roof, and she like swings upside down into the what do you call it? Into the windscreen, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Zoe slams on the brakes, which causes her to fall forward.
Yeah.
Steps on the gas and runs over Zombie Jen. Just runs her over.
Yeah,
to which she then
no remorse.
None. In fact, she just kind of looks over
at foreshadowing.
Yes. She then looks over to Mary and says, "I didn't like that bitch anyway." Or I never liked that bitch anyway.
Yeah.
I just kind of went, "Oh my god, like what's the point of this whole movie at this point?"
Why did she come up? I'm pretty sure that she came up specifically to work on her tan. That was her whole reason for coming.
Exactly. So as they're driving off, Mr. McGregorson and a beaver like chew through a tree.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's like again comes up the hierarchy of Zombeavers, like because I couldn't tell if he regarded the Zombeaver as a pet or the Zombeaver regarded him as a pet, but I felt like one of them was a pet.
I felt like they were working together. I felt like they were working together.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. The way they looked at each other, I think they were. So the tree misses him. It falls behind him, and they both kind of like look at each other. The Zombeaver and Zombie McGregor. I can't even like little zombie sound or beaver sounds.
Yeah,
because they missed it. So they keep driving. The sun's starting to come up, and they stop at the tree.
Yeah,
the tree that fell. Where actually I think the Prius is there, right?
Yeah,
where the Prius is at, and yeah, tree boyfriend is dead. So they get out.
Who, by the way, his face was frozen, wasn't it? Like I was looking at it, it doesn't look like it moves.
Here's the thing: he's infected, like he's alive.
Yeah.
When they walk by him, like he's turned into a Zombeaver as well, which was odd. I didn't quite understand. Like, is it just like an airborne virus now that's causing him to do that? Because he wasn't bit, right?
Unless maybe after they pinned him, they bit him because they could use him.
I don't know, but he couldn't get out. So they walk by him, and Zoe's telling Mary, "Don't look," because it's Mary's boyfriend, and they basically like get into the middle of the road, and the sun's coming up, and she turns around, and Mary's got a gun on her.
Yeah.
She got the gun from the glove compartment. For anybody wondering,
at some point,
where the hell did she get a gun? Right. So she gets a gun.
Mary didn't notice,
she's like,
or Zoe didn't notice at some point, but she got the gun.
Right. And she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And she's like, basically like, "I don't know that you're not infected. You're bloody." And she's like, "I jumped out a fucking window. Like, that's why." So they have this like back and forth standoff, and she's like, "Well, you can't shoot me before I turn, because then you're a murderer."
Yeah.
And so she sits there for a second, and then
Mary's a Zombeaver.
Mary, like, her eyes go white and her teeth pop out. And so here's the thing. So I looked back because I didn't understand, and I looked it up. So apparently when Jen was on top of her, she drooled on her face.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Which caused her to become infected. Because I didn't see it either. I was like, "What? I don't
see."
Like,
I thought she got hit by Jen at some point, like during the truck scene or whatever, like got scratched or anything.
Yeah, no. Apparently it was because she drooled on her when she initially transformed and made her little beaver teeth come out.
Right.
She drooled that goop on her face, and that apparently infected her.
Okay.
So
she gets killed. Doesn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, like Zoe's like, "I'm not taking any more of this shit," and she takes her axe and like chops the shit out of her.
Mm-hmm. Forgot about that.
Yep, and like walks off. And so why do you think that was some foreshadowing?
Well, because Zoe winds up in the middle of the road.
Right.
Finds somebody, signals for help even, only for we to get introduced to our truckers. And of course the guy, being the serial texter that he is, "Hey, there's a girl on the road." "Yeah, I see her." Crunch.
Yeah, so they're driving up, and she's waving him down, and And John Mayer turns to the driver and he's like, "You see that girl, right?" He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I trust you."
Yeah, which I don't know. I feel like this isn't an abnormal occurrence for them.
This is yeah. This is like not a healthy relationship either. Like there's some codependency going on as well. You can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the cutout. That's the smash cut at the end. Is she gets run over by the truck.
Yeah.
And
scene.
that's the end.
In
of it.
movie.
Yep. And scene. And then you get into some crazy. There is a gag reel at the end that's really
it's like
really
the most
funny.
Amazing gag reel ever.
Yeah,
almost on par with any Jackie Chan movie ever.
Right. There's another monologue between the truckers,
yeah,
the delivery guys, about something about John Mayer's strangled penis.
Yeah, there's a lot of them,
which is like hilarious. Yeah, so that's Zombeavers. There was a few notes I took about just kind of like usually we wouldn't take this long, so I would go more into like behind the scenes stuff.
I will I'll summarize the plot because I won't take 2 hours to do it. We went longer than the actual movie running time.
We did, and we might break this up into a couple parts. I don't know.
So this is gonna have to be at least a 2-part. Are we gonna release them at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I kind of want to get into the next movie.
So the producers for this movie were responsible for American Pie, The Ring, and Cabin Fever. So it definitely has elements from all of those movies, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What they did was they made a trailer for it. They took a bunch of I think 7 different horror movies and like 4 different soundtracks, and they put together a mock trailer using that, and they sold the movie on that. Like they got financing for it based on this trailer.
Really?
Yeah. And they showed the trailer online, the actual movie trailer online, and it got 1 million views in 1 week.
Holy shit.
Which is like unheard of. And within a couple of weeks, I think it had 1.7 million views. So when they went to the European film festivals, they found a buyer for it.
Yeah.
And got U.S. distribution, and it came here. During Oscar week, they did 3 different posters that parodied Oscar films. So like there's a poster for Gravity. You know the poster for Gravity with...
Yeah.
Anyway, instead of her, it's like a Zombeaver inside the spacesuit.
Oh my god.
And it says Zombeavers.
I want this to happen.
Yeah, it's there. They did it.
Well, no, I'm saying I want that movie to happen.
Yeah, I would love it.
I want Zombeavers in space.
They also did one for her and American Hustle, where they basically replaced the main characters with beavers.
I'm trying to actually picture that movie, and it's not working for me.
And the one thing that made me groan the most was Film School Rejects said, "So yes, it essentially follows the old school or the old horror trope about the dangers of young people mixing wood and beavers." And I groaned. I audibly groaned when I read that. Basically, my summary is I never read anything on this. I watched it. I thought it was going to be a Sharknado kind of like just real cheesy, cheap kind of thing, and it ended up being like a real legit horror comedy, I guess I should say, because it's meant to be a horror comedy. That I really, really, really liked.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, when I went into it, I was just told, oh, yeah, you guys should do this for the podcast, because I brought up, oh, yeah, we're going to do a podcasting, and so the person I told was like, yeah, I just watched that movie, you guys should totally do that. So I was like, oh, great, this is going to be one of those films. Cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad
surprisingly
it was.
Good.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You should, if you sat through, like, our lengthy, just like, scene-by-scene description of this, go back and watch it for yourself, because it is amazing. So what do you got for me?
Well, you missed the end credit scene, buddy. The
oh my
Marvel
god,
style
I did.
End credit scene where
Go for it.
We've got we come in on a bear dead in the woods, the Zombear, right? And we notice a little bee comes flying in close to the bear. Seems to be in the bear. Flies out, returns to the hive, which we can only assume sets up the sequel, Zombies.
I love that part. I was like, I'm all for it. Bring it.
Which brings the question, what do you think the sequel to Zombeavers could be if it wasn't zombies?
Like, I'd like to see Zombears. Like,
yeah, that seems I want Zombears, I want Zombies. So here's the thing. So somebody asked in that AMA, right? If you're going to make 7 more movies for the Zombeavers franchise, what would you call each one? To which Ruben responds, off the top of my head, Zombies. All right. Zombeyonce. Zombie Arthur. Zombeetlejuice. Zombeatniks, Zombeaker from the Muppets, and
Nice.
Zombeamer, about a BMW like Christine that is a zombie.
Nice. I would watch every single one of those.
I gotta agree, man. Zombie White.
Oh,
Somebody else
perfect.
suggested that. I'd watch that.
I bet she'd do it.
Zombeaver, the Canadian Invasion. It's just there's so much potential here.
Yeah.
So much potential.
Yeah. So have you decided what the next episode's gonna be?
We did actually. We wound up. I watched a movie the other day. You know, it's kind of on the list for like potential movies, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this. 'Cause I'm bored as dicks.
Right.
So I did, and as soon as I finished, I'm like, Smeg, we got to talk about this movie. This is a movie that we could talk about. So our next movie is going to be a little film called Would You Rather. It's up on Netflix, available for streaming. So, you know, go check it out. It's not a super long running time, but it's pretty good. Keep an eye out for a certain cameo. I wouldn't say it's a cameo. It's a main actor. But if you guys catch it, I mean, we all know what you've been looking at. So,
I have not seen it yet. I'm going to check it out. I was kind of waiting to see if that was officially what our next thing was going to be. So,
so am I the final decider then? Am I like, yeah, you know, I heard of a different film that we might want to talk about next time.
Absolutely.
I'll spring this on you. Buddy, I haven't had a chance to watch Valley of the Cycle Sluts yet.
You introduced me to Zombeavers.
Well, that's true.
You're okay in my book. So if you've seen Zombeavers, feel free to check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/filmguildcast.
Which is important because I tried typing in the Film Guild and it came up with something completely different.
Yeah, it's facebook.com/filmguildcast. Like our page there. Tell us what you thought of it. Go to Twitter. It's at FilmGuildCast there as well.
Yep, that's another one I almost messed up.
And tweet us on that. Tell us what you thought. Feel free to send us
suggestions
for what you'd like to see us watch, what you'd like to see us cover next. We've got probably about 60 different films that we've wrote down that we can do.
We're up to officially 29, but we've got another 30 or so in the possible list. Right.
So and that's, you know, that can be moved around. We'd be more than happy to cover stuff that people like to see us watch. So definitely check us out on those 2 social media platforms.
And if you would, I'm going to pose this to the audience. Tweet with the hashtag FilmGuildCast. What's going to be the next Zom film? You know, we've already got zombies. We got Zombie on State. What Zombeavers? What you guys got?
Absolutely.
One up us. We dare you.
Yes.
We double dare you.
Please, I'm begging you. So anything else before we head off for the night? I promise that we'll be streamlining these episodes as time goes. So that,
they won't be 2 hours long. Namely, we won't let Smeg summarize the plot because Smeg summarizes the plot as he's watching the movie. He didn't tell you that we had it playing in the background, and he's like, "All right, what happens next? Oh, that's right, the kitchen scene. Okay, so then we're in the kitchen, and this happens." And he managed to discuss it just long enough for transition.
Here's the thing. I didn't really have it playing most of the time. I was actually just going off my notes. Remember when you were like, "Oh yeah, I took like a page of notes."
I've got 3 pages, yeah.
And I was like, dude, I've taken 3 pages and I'm halfway through the film.
Yeah.
I should have known then that I was probably going a little bit too much into it.
Well, to be fair, right. I would summarize it down to like, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but I would definitely cut it down.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And then we would have gone back and made cracks about it later. But, you know, we're learning still, man. This is like our first official podcast. Like, we tried that other one, but nobody talks about that piece of shit.
Right. So, yeah. So that's our podcast. Look forward to regular episodes coming up. I'd like to do it every week. What do you think?
I would personally love that, yeah.
Do you have time to do that?
Yeah, I can probably swing it.
All right. Well, check us out the next episode where we do Would You Rather. I don't know. We should also have a game of Would You Rather.
Oh, dude, you have no clue. I've already planned this shit.
All right. I'm going to leave it in his capable hands next episode.
All right.
So until then, thanks guys for watching our premiere episode. I hope you come back for the second one. Feel free to leave us some notes. Let us know what you think, what you'd like to see in the future.
Was it too short? Was it too long?
Yeah.
Was it just right?
It's like, goddamn, it's like he's reading the script as he goes. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for listening, and we'll check you next time.
Peace, guys.